Welcome to the Growth Lab, where business ambition meets motherhood. I'm Luba, a mom of three, a self-made millionaire, speech-language pathologist, and founder of 2 clinics in sensory play gyms and a mobile therapy bus unit. Join me each week as we dive into what it takes to grow successful business, balance family, and create real impact. I'll share my hard-won insights and bring on inspiring entrepreneurs with stories you won't want to miss. Let's turn dreams into action, build with purpose, and thrive on our own terms. Welcome to the Growth Lab. Let's build, scale, and thrive together. Let's get this party started. This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc. Welcome back to the Growth Lab podcast. Today is a super full circle moment for me personally. So when I was in, I think it was 4th or 5th grade, a woman named Jennifer Esperante Gunter, formerly known as the Cha-Cha Queen, walked into my school's auditorium and completely changed the way that I looked at life as a child, actually from that moment, which is incredible. She spoke with so much passion, so much energy and belief in what was possible for us as kids. At that time, she traveled across America and abroad as a keynote speaker, a workshop leader, and a mistress of ceremonies, empowering individuals and groups to dream and reach their goals while spreading hope and optimism. And I remember going home that day and telling my mom all about her, all about you, and clutching my autographed copy of her book and thinking, I want to be just like her one day. And fast forward to today, here I am, a mom, an entrepreneur, and a motivator myself. I get to sit down with the very woman who lit that fire within me. Jennifer is an award-winning speaker and author and a mom of 3 who has spent her life inspiring young people, parents, and leaders to step into their full potential. And in today's episode, we'll talk about her journey into public speaking, what it felt like to impact kids at a young age, how motherhood has shaped her message, and the practical lessons that she has for anyone looking to build resilience, confidence, and a positive mindset, as well as her role as a wellness and business coach who's helped thousands of people around the globe while teaching nutrition, healthy habits, the power of the mindset, entrepreneurship, and much more. Jennifer, I can't tell you how honored I am to have you here today on the Growth Lab podcast. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here, and I can just tear up and cry from hearing what you had to share. What a full circle moment from so long ago. Those
I can't, like, what did you think when this lady writes you on Instagram like, "Hi, are you this woman that used to speak at schools?" And you were like, "Yes." Like, can I help you?
No, it was so.
What went through your head when you read? Did anyone ever reach out to you like this before?
Well, no. And what's so crazy is now with the internet, we have access to each other. And so to get your message out of nowhere with such enthusiasm as if it was yesterday, it was such a wild moment and such an exciting moment and such a rewarding moment for me to go, oh my gosh, she remembers me and I made an impact. So thank you for reaching out and saying hi.
Oh, I'm so happy I did. You stuck with me for a long time. I never forgot your name. You had such a unique name. And I, at the time growing up, was like super obsessed with Selena, who at the movie I grew up watching was Jennifer Lopez. And you had that. And when you came in, it's like no wonder they called you the Cha-Cha Queen, but you came in and I came home and I was just like enamored by you, honestly. So I'm so excited to have you here and we have lots to talk about. I wanted to take a trip, back a little, so some nostalgia and inspiration. And I wanted to just ask you, do you remember those years when you were speaking in schools like mine, what it felt like knowing that you were inspiring kids in that young mindset?
Yeah, well, I'll share with you, Luba. In the beginning, when I was starting, I didn't know if I was making an impact. I had no idea. Sometimes I'd go home and it would be so energetic and so exciting being with the kids at the high schools or the conferences. And in the moment, it was amazing. And then I'd go home and I'd think, did I make a difference? Like, did I impact anyone? And I didn't know. And then later, as I started to do more and more, and my contact information started to get out to people, and I started to write books, and kids like you got the books, they had access to my email, my 800 number, and I started
Oh
getting
my
messages.
gosh.
And the most
I actually
important or
remember
the
that.
most powerful thing is when I started getting letters, like physical letters in the mail. I have a box today, and I would just tear up reading these letters from kids that were in sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th grade telling me their lives. And it
Oh
was
my God.
really an amazing, amazing experience. Yeah.
That is actually that's incredible. And that you when you think about that you've been able to change lives, I think that you're immediately like this messenger of God. I hate to sound so spiritual, but
Mhm.
I am. And I think that there's something very special, and I think you were meant to do that. So
Yeah, and you
kudos
know
to
what?
you that you
I'll
started
never
with those
forget.
letters.
I would even get these letters from girls that would talk about suicidal thoughts and just
Oh,
depression and difficulties because of their parents'
yeah.
divorce. And, I would write them back. Some of them I got to write back, and it would be nothing to interfere with their lives, but just an inspiration of they are loved and to have faith and everything would be okay and this is not forever. And yeah, I feel very guided to have done what I've done because I was in my early 20s. I didn't even really know what I was doing, but I felt guided to do what I was doing. So,
And that's actually what I wanted to ask you next. What drove you to step into public speaking? Was there a defining moment or a mentor of your own? I do remember that there was a story in your book, and I'll let you answer that question. But um, what brought you here
yeah.
to
Well,
that
you're gonna
moment?
you're gonna crack up because when I was a little girl, I wanted to be either a doctor or I wanted to be a dancer on a Caribbean cruise ship.
Oh my God, that's
Or,
hilarious.
or I wanted to be, no, it makes no sense.
My daughter is just under 8, and we've gone on 2 cruises with the family, and she's a ballroom dancer. So when
Oh
she
my
sees all
gosh.
the performers, she said that to
Yes.
me, like, "Mommy, I love what they do." So that's, oh my
Yes.
God, that's hysterical too.
Well, not to go off tangent for just 10 seconds, I was a ballroom Latin dancer because my stepdad was a professional from Europe and England. And so I grew up dancing as a little girl. So I thought, I want to dance on a Caribbean cruise ship. I want to perform. Of course, I never did that. I went to college to become a pediatrician. After third year, I changed my major because my minor was psychology and I loved helping kids. So I transitioned to that. But what prompted me to do what I'm doing to answer your question is very ironic. I had to be about 13 years old, and my mom was dropping me off to some, I don't know, it was like modeling school or something. My mom was a single mom of 4 kids, and this workshop was free. So my mom was dropping me off in
She's
San
like, "You're
Jose.
going."
It was in San Jose, California, where I lived, and she dropped me off at the wrong place. I thought it was something for kids. It ended up being some adult workshop on personal development. And, back then we didn't have cell phones, so my mom dropped me off, was like, see you in 5 hours, and I was stuck
Oh
there.
my God.
And I
Oh my
remember,
God.
I know, can you imagine? I'm like, what do I do? And the lady that was in charge, her name was Donna, who was the speaker and an author, was like, honey, you were meant to be here. Why don't you have a seat?
That's right.
And
That's
she
right.
introduced me to everybody. I had to be maybe eighth grade. I don't even remember. And I sat through this 5 hour workshop and I learned visualization, positive affirmation, mindset, goal setting. And I was like blown away. My mom picked me up and was like, how was it? I'm like, well, it wasn't what I thought, but it was amazing.
Wow.
So
That's
she was an
amazing.
inspiration. Yeah, she was the inspiration. And then from there, later in life, I ended up kind of just wanting to work with kids. I was coaching cheer and dance in college. And then that led me to another seminar, which led me to this National Speakers Association. And there began the quest of being interested in a possibility of speaking. And then the rest was history. Wild.
Well, Donna, shout out to you wherever you are. Maybe you reach out to Donna. We'll do another podcast, all
Yeah,
three of
no,
us.
Okay, we will. And check it out. I found her like you found me. This is so crazy, Luba. Seriously. I found her in my late 20s, reconnected. She lived in Tahoe, and believe it or not, I ended up becoming the godmother of her adopted
Oh,
daughter.
that's so beautiful. That's really special.
Yeah.
What a, wow. Like,
Mhm.
hello, stars are aligning. Like, that's
Right.
wild for me.
I know you can't even make this stuff
Tell
up. It's
me,
like that really happened.
no, you can't.
Crazy.
These are life messages that you have to just listen to and accept. And I think that's your mom, and thank God there were no cell phones because you would have called her and been like, pick me up, it's the wrong
Right?
place. But here you were forced to sit through and
That's
look where
right.
it led you.
Thank
What
goodness.
motivated you to write your books, especially Teen Power and Winning the Right with the Right Attitude?
Okay, you're gonna crack up. Look what I got in front of me. I pulled all of them.
You
I
hold them up?
have them. Look at this. Is this crazy? And then even this one. Okay, so
Yeah.
in the beginning, there was some colleagues of mine. We were all speakers that focused on teens, and we got together. And one of the guys was like, "We need to write a book." So we kind of came up with the preteen power, teen power, and then eventually teen empower, which was for parents and teachers. But my original first book was called Winning with the Right Attitude. And the concepts came from a little book that Donna gave out in that seminar that I was in. It was very thin, and I forgot what it was called. And I was like, I want to write a book. I want to be like her. So it's so funny you're telling me the story that you said to your mom, you want to be like me, because this is crazy. And that was an inspiration. And so when I reconnected with her, she told me, write the book. And I had to be 23, 24, and I got it all copyrighted. I remember I got it into Copperfield's bookstore, and there was
That's
my
so cool.
first book. It was called Winning with the Right Attitude, and it was about preparing kids for job interviews, difficult situations, and how to allow your mindset to put you in a place of confidence and ease to have success in your life. So that's kind of how that book thing happened.
You were like in some sense the original before TED Talk or TED Talks. Like you had this whole talk and
Yeah.
I'm telling you I can't tell you what you said. But I remember you and I've always and I do remember it was like very positive and that's why I think despite just growing up that way and my mom was that way, so I felt like it was so special that a person came and wanted to share these insights with me and we were in a middle school and you're turning that age where you have to start facing college and decisions and it's I think that there's not enough of that today. Do you
Yeah.
feel like looking back, especially because the times have changed so much,
Yeah.
is there anything that we could do today to kind of bring that back to help the kids get off the social and more into their mind?
Yes. Well, social media is such a gamut of things. There's everything from the good stuff, like what we're doing here today, to the stuff that could just wreck them, and completely just,
Right.
mess with their self-esteem. So I think for those of us that are influencers or we are inspired to share a message or to bring something to community, teens, adults, and whatever ages, I think the thing that we keep doing is opening our mouth, whatever forum that is, whether that's a live small group or a stream or an online, video. I think we just keep sharing the message and then collaborating like we are today. When more of us get together, there's energy and synergy and, alignment. So I just think all of us continuing to, not be quiet. And it's why I still do what I'm doing 30 years later. I've never shut up
Right.
because
Right.
there's a message there.
Well, looking back, did you feel like you had any big challenges being, a young speaker that was trying to make an impact?
It's really interesting. In the beginning, I think I didn't have so much confidence in myself because most of the people back then that were doing what I was doing were men. There were not a lot of women. This is, 30 years ago, I think, that, 20 something years ago, 25. But anyway, most of them were men. So coming in as a female was unique. But then I learned how to use that as my edge because
Okay.
people need the females too, they need the young women, and quite honestly that's where that whole kind of cha-cha queen came from, because someone, I don't remember who it was, they were like, how can you be different? And they asked some questions about me and found out about my Latin ballroom dancing background, and they were like, why don't you tie that in? My mom's favorite dance was the cha-cha. She was always playing music at home, so I'm like, I'm going to tie in some of my roots here and create an identity that makes me unique to get in the door, but then once I get in the door, they really get the heart and soul of who I am and what the message is.
I love that. And that's funny. You answered my question before. That was my next question to you. How did you, those experiences of yours as the Cha-Cha Queen and as Miss San Francisco and some of your other wins influence your confidence and voice? And I feel like you also you did so many things that you had to prepare your own mindset. And correct me if I'm wrong, but who taught you those skills outside of Donna? So that you could get on those stages confidently and dancing and learning new things and then be able to give that, feedback and inspiration to others. Was your mom or somebody else at home helping to grow those within you at the time?
Yeah, it's very interesting because looking at me today, you might not ever imagine that when I was a kid, I was super shy. I wish I had this picture. My mom had put me in, I think when I was 7 or 8, in this little Miss Local pageant. And I died when I found out she put me in it because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm scared to death. I'm nervous. There's a picture, okay, of like about 15 of us little girls. We were all about 7 or 8. And all of them had this beautiful hair and gorgeous lace dresses. And they were smiling big. And I had this plain Jane, navy blue, boring sailor outfit with black straight hair with bangs. And I was not smiling and I was way off to the corner. It kind of reminded me like one of those books where you go, which one doesn't belong? So I was very shy, very nervous. I was the youngest of 4 kids. My mom was a single mom, worked 3 jobs. So, it was hard. I just remember hearing all the hard things. So I was super shy. And then when I was about 13, 14, my mom got very sick. She actually had like a bit of a nervous breakdown. I could understand why, being a single mom, working 3 jobs, 4 kids. And we all of a sudden had to kind of uproot and move in with my dad, who I really didn't know very much at all. And it was a totally different life. My mom was very involved and emotional and a great influence. And my dad and stepmom just worked all the time. So I was in 8th grade taking the BART, taking buses, walking in San Francisco, like it just became a whole different independent child in 8th grade. And I think though that was scary and tough and lonely, it taught me to be resourceful and it taught me to be resilient and it taught me to like reach out and figure things out. And it taught me to be very aware, and then when I ended up doing, Miss San Francisco and Miss Sonoma County, my college roommate forced me to do it because I was trying to figure out how to pay for college. And she's like, they're giving away $5,000 in scholarship money, which was a lot back then.
She's like, go get it.
So she came with me to the information meeting. I ended up doing it, winning, and that was a blessing because suddenly I had like 10 moms that became mentors. They just became mentors and took me under their wing and taught me how to be confident in life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so be in 8th grade and have to be adulting, Can you imagine kids today who are so sheltered? So it's just a different world, but it's I think God puts you in the places that you belong at the time you belong. Right. And for whatever reason, that was a lesson that you had to learn. But speaking of balancing roles as a motivator and a mom of 3, how has motherhood shaped your personal message and your mission that you work on today?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, motherhood is my greatest accomplishment and it is my greatest joy. You could take everything else I've done, and I know you're a mom, so you get it, and there's nothing that can replace, motherhood. And there were many choices I made as I became a single mom later in my life. And I had 3 kids, single mom on my own. And I made a lot of decisions that maybe didn't get me as far as I wanted to go in my business at that time. But the reflection on who my children are today and the time we spent and the influence they got, they are such like these confident, grounded, strong souls. And everybody I ever come in contact with, they'll say things like, how are your kids? I remember your kids being just so kind and so nice and so respectful.
That's the best compliment from mom. Yeah, of course. What are the ages and genders?
Well, now I have 3 boys, and now my oldest, this is crazy, is 26. It's weird.
Oh
okay. And then
how is it possible?
I don't even know. I'm like 21, so I don't know how this happened.
Literally. Something's wrong in your math, Jennifer.
Something's wrong. So he's 26, which no one ever believes that I have a 26-year-old. Then I have a 20-year-old about to be 21. And then I have a 15-year-old, which, is my last little one at home, so to speak. He's not so little. He's just reaching my height right now,
26, 21, 15. Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the message I'd say that has impacted me by being a mother, I'm just so much more grounded. I'm so much because I've been through so much. I'm going through a divorce and being a single mom and going through all the things I've had. You learn so many lessons, and then you pay that forward, and it's really impacted the depth of my message and the depth of who I am and what I want to provide, literally, every day until I die.
What are the parallels that you've seen between raising children and empowering young leaders?
Yeah, it's so similar. I look back to my children today, and one of the things I'm grateful for, and I'm going to say this too, I don't know if this was God's blessing, like I got lucky, He put this ingredient in me, or if I created or manifested or learned it. But there is something I have, and it's this ability to stop, not react, pause, and see my children as separate of me, that they are in this life on their journey, learning their lessons. And I'm not here to control them. I'm here to assist them being the best decision makers and to come up with sound decisions and, figure out their life and to be empowered. And so my children are very independent and, very able. And sometimes now with my youngest, I kind of do baby him because he's the little one, right? And he's like, Mom, I'm totally clear. Mom, I know what I'm doing. I'm like, oh yeah. So yeah, it's the same. Kids, young leaders, like trusting yourself, having faith, getting your roots deep in the ground, knowing that you've got the answers. So many people are so out of touch with their intuition, their inner guidance. They are so lost sometimes, and they're looking for answers in everybody else and social media and all the influences, where sometimes I'm like, quiet the mind. My 20-year-old, he has disconnected so many times. He's deleted TikTok, deleted Instagram, he's like, they're a distraction. And he was doing this when he was 17 and 18 years old just a few years ago because he wanted to build a career at a young age. And he's like, they're a distraction. And so sometimes these things that are fun can consume us and take us away from ourselves and just being ourselves and doing what we're here to do.
I think that that's such a big step from a young person who's especially 21 years old to understand that broader picture, because today that they're all on there and you're comparing life, but you have to understand what reality is and the fact that he can face reality, and just definitely from his upbringing to understand, oh, this is a distraction and I have to step away, is so adult.
Yeah. I know sometimes I'm like, who is this kid?
I look, oh my gosh, my kids are younger. My oldest is almost 10. Yeah. And it's terrifying to see them. Because, okay, so part of me from motherhood side, it's very much every time that they celebrate a birthday, you're like, crap, I'm getting older. Even though you're like, just like what you were saying, you're like, I'm 21, it doesn't make any sense. So that mental youth is there, but then your reality sets in and you're like, oh my God, but all you can wish for is with each passing year for the kids to be more accomplished and happy and of course healthy. And I think that's just the cycle of life, and we get to witness it and embrace it. Yeah. Even with all the change that's happening, I really hope that schools can find more speakers like yourself. Maybe you'll get back on the road, who knows?
I know, right?
That love and beautiful motivation back to kids so that they understand what leadership means, what kindness means, because I think we lose that. And it's not, the world is dark sometimes, and we need people to bring that back so that you raise wholesome individuals and not just like somebody chasing work or chasing something,
one of the things I teach my kids, and I love to teach this to everyone, especially young adults, is that contrast is just part of the formula. And so I say, just like there's an up, there's a down, just like there's a left, there's a right. Yes. I'm like, just like there's
Yes.
joy and happiness and fulfillment, there's all this contrast. And sometimes they go, well, what do you mean by contrast? And I'm like, that's the difficulty, the challenge, the darkness, the struggle. And I said, so when you get to a point where, and we're all forever going to have to practice this, but I'm like, when you get to a point where you realize this is just part of life, then you don't react as much and you won't go south so much when things that like that happen. And I say, you can kind of look at these things like, what is the blessing? What is the lesson? What am I supposed to take from this to put in my tool belt to be a stronger, better, more capable person? So I attempt to help them see all of the difficulties as just helping them polish that diamond within themselves, that they're just going to be better and brighter, for all the things in the future. There is no person that is successful that hasn't had tons of difficulty. We've usually
But
had.
that's the way you get there. For every X amount of no's, there's gonna be a yes because you've learned, you've experienced, and then things can change because you've made a change.
That's
So
right.
and like mom, that's applicable to motherhood, it's applicable to entrepreneurship, and that's applicable to just being a human being. So I think
Yeah.
that's, if anyone can take anything away from that today, you know, if you're getting slapped in the face with a bunch of no's or things aren't going your way, look for the contrast because it's going to come based on what you've experienced already on the other side.
That's
I
right.
think that there's a lot to learn and take away. I think a lot of people have, especially the younger kids today, because so many people are YouTube stars. You can't imagine in elementary school that question. Well, what do you want to be when you grow up? A YouTube star. And it's just not realistic. The fact that they think that or their parents let them write that or I don't know what it is, but we are in this position of a true life shift because the careers are different, the interests are different, nothing is quite the same. There's some things that are same. There's athletes and business people and engineers, whatever, if you want to break it up that way. But the actual mindset shift of people and education hasn't followed yet, but I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
And this is where I work in, and you understand. So I look at the needs community and the education community. And for me to talk to somebody like you, it's beautiful because you could be a wise word to parents. You could be a wise word to students.
This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc.
If you're talking to someone and they feel stuck on their dreams or they don't know where they're going, what would you recommend are first steps that they could take today to start going on the right path?
Yeah, oh gosh, there's several things I'd say, but probably the first thing I'd say is to look at their environment. People are sometimes so not aware that that is feeding their brain. So just like I work with a lot in nutrition, I say, listen, if you're eating fast food every day and you're having a soda for breakfast and 20 cups of coffee a day, you're kind of going to feel like crap. Like you just can't help it. So if you're listening to the news all day and you're listening to people complain all day or gossip all day, energetically, you're going to kind of feel really bad. So who can you hang around? What can you listen to? I learned at an early age in my 20s to turn my car into a library, okay, by playing things like this, podcasts, positive messages, videos, anything I can. Actually, even dropping off my
Always be learning.
even after dropping my son off at school today, I was in traffic for 30 minutes. So I was listening and loving what I was listening to. So I say, look at the environment, and you can change your own environment just by changing what you're listening to and where you're putting your mind. Put your time into the things that will actually be some positive influence for you. So that's the first thing if someone's stuck.
Wow.
Second thing I'd probably say is, and I do this a lot with people, especially with all my clients, I get to hear how they talk to themselves. And man, if I could make a wish, and who knows, maybe I'll create this one day, right? But I would love for people, because I don't learn this in school, unfortunately, and nowadays both parents are working just to make ends meet. So there's a lot of present, or a lot of parents that are not so present. Kids are kind of on their own. But I would want kids to learn how to monitor their mind and how to tip the scale 51% to positive. Even if it's 51%, they're going to get a whole different outcome in their life, because we know where attention goes, energy flows. And so learning how to be aware of the things you say to yourself, be aware of the thought processes and even the words. I had this wise mentor in my 30s that would say, Jen, words are the lamp to your feet. And so he'd say, you have to be aware of the words because they're lighting the path. And if you're saying things like,
Wow.
I can't, or I'm too this, and you are lighting the path and creating a reality you don't want. So light a different path. And I would just get chills. And to this day, I remember it, I teach it. And it's one of the things I do. I work with people on being aware of what they're saying because it creates their world.
Wow. That's deep. Even when I've thought of that, I love the how well put that is. Well, do you know the study about plants? So if you plant three different
Yeah.
plants at the same time or they're already growing, one of them you come over and you're like screaming at it and yelling at it, and then another one you're like, you're so beautiful and kind and like you're gonna grow big. Well, what you'll
Yep.
see if you do this test is that the one that you're speaking negatively to will likely die, even if you're watering them both, but you're also filling that energy to it, just like you are to yourself, to your brain. You're gonna kill that vibe, that spark, and you're gonna kill the plant. So if you want to, if anybody out there doesn't believe in manifestation, in the word, in how you light your path, which I love, do it on the plant and witness it for yourself because you're the first voice you hear.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, this is so great. So great you just said this because I'm always teaching and I share about water. I said it is
Oh,
scientifically proven. If you look at the water molecule, through a microscope, you can say, I hate you to water. And the water form will become this scattered, chaotic form. And then if you say, I love you, water, the water becomes this like beautiful crystal, almost snowflake. It is a totally different design. So
I
for
haven't
decades,
done that one. I want
okay,
to see,
so
I want to do that.
oh, check it out. Now, for decades, I've been telling people because they're like, "Well, how do you look so young? What do you do?" And I'm like, "I haven't done any plastic surgery. I've never done anything." I say, however, I'll tell you what I've been doing for 20, 25 years is not only eating the right thing, and I go, but I have a secret, and I hold up a little water, and I say, before I ever drink my water. I tell my water, I love you, you're beautiful, you're sexy, you're hot, you're amazing. I give my water all this love and then I drink the water and the water goes into my body and I feel like $1,000,000. And I say, now, you may think I'm a weirdo, but do you know we are 70% water? So if we're 70% water, our crystal forms are changing all day, every day, based on the thoughts and the words we choose. So I'm like, you have got to choose carefully for yourself. So I talk about this all the time.
That is amazing. Like I don't know if you're not a scientist out there, but you're just a human being who wants to prove these theories, test
Yeah.
them, and then we'll provide the proof. You should go for it, right? You should write to us, people. If anyone has done this,
Tell us,
write to
right?
myself or Jennifer. Please tell us your experience. This is really exciting. I hope people do it and write to us because this is real. Oh my God.
For
What
sure.
what advice do you have for any parents out there who want to raise resilient, confident kids in today's crazy world?
Advice I have for parents, I think the only best advice I could give right now off the top of my head is really to be who you want your children to be. I remember being at a grocery store several months ago, and this mother was just yelling at her child to have good manners. I just thought she's yelling at her to have good manners. It's such an opposite way to teach. And so just being who you want your children to be, I heard this little saying, I don't even know where I heard it from. They said, don't be upset your kids aren't listening to you. Be afraid they're watching your every move. And so there's a saying called be, do, have. You've got to become first, and then you'll do, and then you'll have. So if you want to have these amazing children, be that person and let them watch you, and they will emulate all of it, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. They will learn from witnessing how we are. So that's what I would say is, work harder on yourself than you do your kids. Work harder on yourself than you do your job. Work harder on yourself than anything else. And as you grow and improve, everything else around you will, including your kids.
Beautiful. How about any words of advice for the families of special needs children or the autism community? How can they stay in the proper mindset and then set up their kiddos for success, because they carry a bit of a different weight? And they have to, I think, almost be stronger than the general communities. What would you say, and what experiences have you had with that?
Yeah. First of all, I applaud what you do, Luba. Like, it really is amazing. I have friends with special needs
Thank you.
children. And I know it's not easy. And what you're doing for the communities, and having a space and a place through your work is really incredible and much needed. So thank you energetically for what you're doing in the planet, really. Probably the advice I would give is what I've learned is first, two things. First is continued gratitude, gratitude for all that is. And it's so easy to look at what isn't. I remember going to a seminar with Tony Robbins, and he said, what's wrong is always available. So is what's right. And it really made my brain go, I have got to focus on what's going right, because I've gone through some difficult, dark times in my life. Being a single mother, financially, professionally, emotionally, I've been through really difficult relationships. People wouldn't believe what I've been through. They'd think, well, you're so happy, you must have had it easy. No, the darkness, caused the strength. So I would say gratitude. And then the second thing I'd say, and this is for everybody, but yes, those parents of children with special needs, is to seek community and ask for support. We unfortunately live in this world where people are, I don't know, there's such maybe a bad feeling for people when they want to ask for help. It's a sense of weakness. I don't want to ask. I don't want to burden. I don't want to bother. But through the asking and through the sharing is where miracles occur, because that old saying, it takes a village, is fact. And so when people lean in, they will get support. When they lean in, they also make a difference, because they show everyone else, everyone is going through the same thing. So, don't do anything alone. You don't have to do anything alone. That's the hard way to do life. Like, lean in, find your tribe, find your people, ask for help and support. And I always learned, you will pay it forward and it'll come back to you, just like Donna impacted me, and I found her years later, decades later, and then here you find me. Like, I'm telling you, 20 years from now, some kid's gonna find you, Luba, and go, I remember you.
Oh my gosh. And you know what's crazy? Even now sometimes, because, my kidology, the business that I founded, is 10 and a half years old. And it's my oldest child, if you will. And so, when I was getting really started and I was in the community so often at that point, for the first like 3.5 to 4 years, a lot of the business was carried on my shoulders. And then I started asking for help. Ding, ding, ding. You see? So it goes to many different categories. But the children I see in the community who happen to be like in activities with my kids or competing against them somewhere, or we ran into their parents at a dance school or art center, are kids who have come through me, come to my business, come to another service of my business, but I recognize them and I can see their growth, and parents will pull me aside and be like, thank you so much that you have this center, because so-and-so, look at this kid, look what they could do now, and blah, blah, blah. And I think back, and it really brings me, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to be able to do what I do. I'm so grateful that I found my voice No pun intended, because
Right.
but I think that I was also meant to be where I am, and I'm very blessed. And I love to encounter people that have come to Kidology or worked with me personally or anyone in the business. And I think there's something very special and that drives you. It drives you wanting to do it even more. So I love that.
Yeah, I love the name Kidology. I love what you do. And
Thank
who would have ever thought,
you.
right, when you were in eighth grade looking at me on stage teaching,
No.
here you would be inspiring, making such an impact. Who would have ever thought? But you were chosen in my mind too. And there was a blessing that was bestowed upon you to deliver the message and make the impact that you do. And we're all here to do that. We're here to
That's
lighten
right.
the darkness.
You keep like putting the perfect transitions in,
I
Jennifer.
am.
Like, what legacy do you want to leave behind, both for children and for the world?
Oh gosh, this gives me chills. The legacy I really want to leave behind is that you are a loved, powerful, capable human being, and more than the physical body. There's an essence about you that has a purpose and a reason you're here at this time, on this planet to do what you're here to do. And the real quest is finding that purpose and doing the work with yourself to eliminate all the doubts and all the difficulties and all that negative self-talk to be able to move forward, on purpose and with strength. So I just want everyone to be able to know that they're the creators of our life. Accountability is not always easy and not everybody wants it. But if you can find someone that will hold you accountable, be it friend, mentor, coach, it can make all the difference in the world. Because I have several mentors, but one of them, when I had been going through difficulty and, kind of complaining a little bit, we're human, we can't help it. And he would just like knock it out of me and say, okay, are you done being a victim? I'd say, what do you mean? I'm like the most positive person. He'd say, well, you're the source of this. The complaints cause more. The focus on the difficulty causes more difficulty. So when are you going to give it up? When are you going to give that up and really be in creation mode? And he would just like get me right in the middle of the eye, like it hit me like a Mack truck, and
Wow.
it would kind of shake me and wake me up to say, that's right, hold on, I forgot. I forgot in the
Yeah.
busyness of mom life. I forgot in the busyness of providing. I forgot in the busyness of building a business that any situation is conquerable, and everything that is difficult, we can be resilient and move through if we're focusing forward on what we want to create versus right now and the challenge we're going through. So I just want everyone to know you're never stuck unless you say so. And you're never, limited unless you say so. You're limited by your
All
imagination.
what you
Yeah,
think and feel and put out, you know?
yeah.
I know that you're working now as a health and business coach in different capacities. Tell us a little bit about that. If you're, if I'm interested in being your client, what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if someone's interested in being my client, their life would change forever. I can tell you that.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
Because, one of the things that's so funny, people who want to lose weight or get fit, or they want abs, or they just want to get healthier, maybe they just want to get off medications. My youngest client was 6 months old, oldest client in their 90s. So I work with everything across the board. But so often the easy, quote unquote, part is the diet. And people do not know. They don't teach it in school. They don't teach you how much protein and what kind of protein. They don't teach you water and fiber and carbs and good fats and all this stuff. But quite honestly, that is the simple part. The big part of what I do in working with people is the whole mindset. Because if you get the diet right, but you're feeding your mind junk, you are still in this 2 steps
Wow.
forward, 1 step back, 2 steps. So when people say, I've been trying to lose weight for 30 years, or I've been on these medications for 40 years, and then they tell me their story of why, and they're so committed
Mhm.
to that story, sometimes I'll point blank say, you are spending so much time telling me why you're stuck as opposed to where you want to go. So what's the
Want to
vision? And
dwell rather
yeah,
than make movement. Oh,
and,
wow.
and they don't
And
even
I
have
think
the
that
vision.
it's so popular now to talk about ancestral trauma, and I think that that ties into that also.
Yeah. So, someone that wanted to become my client or work with me, we connect, we do a little complimentary kind of evaluation and see what they need, what's going on, what they're looking for. And then from there, I'll know how to guide them, how we work together. Some people I'm making up meal plans for and talking diet and nutrition. And other people are working with me weekly, bi-weekly, every other week. And we're really working on changing habits, changing patterns and actions, even changing thought process, even changing their whole identity to change their life.
Wow.
I
So
know I hang
where
up
can,
inspired.
what'd you say?
I say when I work with my clients, like I hang up so inspired because I'm
Oh, yeah.
so excited for them and
You've
where they can
lived a
go.
lot of things, and I think that that really makes you a seasoned professional because you can understand people in different paths,
Yeah,
situations, and
for
that
sure.
is very special because not everyone in your position can. They want to, they're mindset capable, but they haven't lived everything, and I
Yeah.
think that sets you apart a lot.
I
And
had a
you've lived many lives. I knew you in a different life somewhere. I don't know.
for sure. I know I had a mentor that said, don't ever pitch theory. Live the truth, speak the truth, and then you can make a big impact. So yeah, that's what I
Wow.
do.
Where can our listeners find you, follow your work, and connect with you and your message?
Well, it's funny. I kind of wish we did this a little bit later because I'm in the midst of creating a whole new website. So that'll be up soon. We might have to do part two, right? But
Yeah.
right now, people can find me on Instagram at 24fitchick. They can email me directly, at jenniferesperante1 at gmail.com. They can even direct text to a number and access me, 707-889-8757. So really, people can email, do whatever they want, reach me any which way, and it'll be certainly a pleasure to make a difference and continue doing so.
And
So
if
that's what I'm
there's
doing.
anyone out there who saw Jennifer speak in their youth, please let her know how you've been how she's inspired your world today.
I
Well,
know.
I have had so much fun learning from you, laughing with you, talking to you, reliving some of the stuff. You're gonna have to tell me. I don't. Do you still remember your speech? Did you have like one that
Oh
you
my gosh.
presented?
You know what's so funny? I kind of do. I just remember always bringing up a guy up and dressing him up in the cha-cha thing and having marachas and having
You
music.
definitely had those. That I remember because I think you started or ended or did something. Like there was something.
Yes. And I would always end up with this crazy dance and telling a story. But I do remember the program. And then it's funny, I'd found this video cassette case and I
Oh
was
my
reading
God.
a little bit about it and looking at all the pictures on it from teen conferences and me in my jean jacket in my 20s. But I do remember, and it was definitely one of the highlights of my life. My one of my great memories was going to Barrow, Alaska, and working with suicidal kids during the dark time of the year, and working with them for a week. And it was like I got to bring sunlight. It was 40 below when I landed. I got frostbite.
Whoa.
And I went to go work with suicidal kids during the dark time of the year to bring light to them. And it was just an amazing experience. I was the only one on the plane along with chickens and animals and me and,
Oh
and
my
them.
God.
Yeah, it was
That
crazy.
is like a little bit different than what you did for us. But what with winter coming, maybe you should release something like that. There's so many people out there who could benefit from what you're doing and
Yeah.
have done. Spew some advice for us for the winter months ahead for people who have that seasonal depression.
Yeah. Well, just know, and I say this with all due respect, that oftentimes, depression is thinking the same negative thoughts over and over and over again, where you can actually get addicted to those thoughts and just the repeated
Mm.
thoughts and repeated emotions can make you depressed. Because if I said to you, Luba, show me what depression looks like through movies or past history, you could show me what it physically looks like and what it sounds like. And then if I said, show me what happiness and joy looks like, you could physically show that. So as wild as this is, and I'm living proof because I've practiced it, I had a coach that would say, you have to practice. Life is the rehearsal of who you want to become. So if you want to move from depression, you have to practice being happy, even and especially when you're not in the mood to be happy. You have to practice and build the muscle like you're going to the gym. So these are things I've done in my own life. You know, when things were tough, I would practice being happy, and I'm like, it's not being fake, it's who I want to become.
So moving. Thank you so much for your time today. And I really hope that we can continue to stay connected. And everybody out there listening, if you have any doubt, any fear, if you're saying the wrong thing to yourself, you can make change. Reach out to Jennifer. I hope you enjoyed our episode. Tune in again to the Growth Lab podcast and give us a like. See you next time.
Thanks, Luba.
This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc.